Motorola's Moto G30 turned out to be a safe all-rounder when we reviewed it. It offered good daylight photography, solid battery life, and a 90Hz refresh rate display. Now this one, the Moto G31, cuts down on a few things. There's 3 rear cameras at the back, a 60Hz AMOLED display, and IPX2 rating for water resistance, which can be seen as slight downgrades. So is this budget motor worth your money? Let's find out in this review. Now let's talk about the design. The phone looks very similar to its predecessor and is made of polycarbonate. It has an IPX2 rating for slight water resistance, which is a bit of a downgrade. In comparison, the Moto G30 had an IP52 rating for dust as well as water resistance. 6.4-inch AMOLED panel offers deep blacks and makes for an immersive viewing experience when watching movies and playing games. The phone has wideband L1 DRM certification, which allows for full HD playback resolution in streaming apps. Those choosing between the Moto G30 and the Moto G31 will miss the 90Hz refresh rate though. Thanks to its textured back and matte finish, the phone gathered no fingerprints. Its display also gathered no smudges during the review period. One thing that annoyed me was the placement of the buttons. There's a dedicated Google Assistant button which sits almost in the top right corner of the device, high above the power button and the volume keys. This makes it hard to use, but it might come in handy given that this device does not wake up and perform actions when locked in response to voice commands. The near-stock version of Android 11 on the Moto G31 does have some customization options, including the ability to change the accent color, font, and icon shapes. There are also the usual Moto gestures and the Moto Peek display feature, which lets you interact with notifications while the phone is locked. More importantly, there are no third-party apps, which can be seen on competing smartphones. The software experience on the Moto G31 with regular use was smooth overall. While the phone managed average scores in our benchmark tests, its gaming performance was a bit below the mark. This phone can handle most games at low graphics settings, but nothing more. I experienced some stuttering and lag when playing Call of Duty Mobile at the default low graphics and medium frame rate settings. Asphalt 9 Legends ran smoothly at default graphics settings with some occasional lag when there was a lot of action happening on screen. Compared to the Moto G30, the Moto G31 falls short by one rear-facing camera. There's a 50-megapixel primary camera, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera, and a 2-megapixel macro camera. However, the 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera does double duty as a depth sensor when shooting photos using the portrait mode. The camera app interface is typically Motorola, with most of the settings hidden under the gear icon. Oddly, the camera interface offers no option to select the video recording resolution and does not have a symbol or icon to tell you what resolution it's recording at either. Photos taken in daylight showcase mostly natural colors with decent dynamic range. Most of the photos I took ended up looking a bit dreamy thanks to the aggressive HDR, but also ensured good detail in darker areas of each frame. The ultra-wide-angle camera was not good and mostly ended up overexposing scenes, producing blurry details and noticeable barrel distortion. Macro photos did not capture much detail, and I preferred using the primary camera as shots came out sharper with better detail and can be cropped. Selfies came out fine provided I did not use the portrait mode, which often resulted in blown out backgrounds. Low-light photos came out quite blurry. The night mode managed to make shots sharper, but they were still very low on detail. The selfie portrait mode never seemed to work in low light. Video quality overall was quite decent at best, with the exposure changing quite drastically when panning. Low light video was quite poor. Battery life was quite good on the Moto G31. Its 5000 mAh battery lasted through a day and a half of use, which included some gaming. Charging speed was decent with the bundled 20-watt charger. The Moto G31 went from a dead battery to a fully charged state in 2 hours and 33 minutes. The Motorola Moto G31 offers a high-quality AMOLED display, a water-resistant body, and a near-stock Android software experience. However, it isn't on par with its predecessor in some regards, and its photo and video capabilities are far from consistent. This new model is definitely not an all-rounder like the Moto G30, but it may be a perfect fit for those looking for a stock Android software experience. I'm Sheldon Pinto, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.